guess episode 2. I don't know. Whatever. I'm probably not gonna keep counting after a while, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Just want to add to yesterday's first video log, I guess. Just talking about. Just want to talk about my my tour overseas with the military. I guess my military background. I joined in 2001. I was a reservist. There's for people who don't know, there's reserves are part-time. Weekend warriors is is the nickname we're given. There's others, but difference is basically, for the most part we do it on the weekends. Now there's some people who are reservists but do full-time work. There's obviously the regular force. I had no interest in joining the regular force at the time, I guess. I was still in high school when I joined, so that was one thing. I was getting credits instead of getting paid for doing my basic training, things like that. Learned a lot. It's great. Had fun. Met a lot of people. Got to shoot guns. Well, people were doing tests and stuff. It's like, blow stuff up, which was fun. What made me join was I was in the co-op program, and the teacher asked me what I wanted to do, and I was like, I saw the poster, I was like, that looks like fun, so I went in for it, and it was great. I think it was February 13th, 2001 is when I started basic training. And basic training was, your typical, like in the movies, get all your equipment, and the yelling starts, hey, scumbag, and blah blah blah, push-ups, and all that stuff. No, obviously they're trying to break you down and then rebuild you, right? I got in trouble a few times. I was just laughing a lot. To this day, everyone knows me for my laughter. So that's. Some people call me Private Joker from the movie Full Metal Jacket. Always having fun. That's just me, my persona. Done basic training. We end up doing our like a driving course. So we learn how to drive the ILTIS. ILTIS is ILTIS. Great vehicle for off-roading. It's like a basketball, and those things are just unbreakable. Small vehicles, but fun to drive. After that, joined a unit with Downs View and 32 MP platoon. It was originally 25 service battalion. We were inaugurated with the cooks and things like that, and then we kind of separated. We were so big, we left to create our own unit, 32 MP platoon. From there, we're doing training, things like that, a lot of exercises. We went out for drinks after, things like that. Good times, met a lot of good guys, and to this day still friends with them. 'After that, 9/11 happened obviously in 2001, and then I was like, probably gonna have to go. Whether it was gonna be forced or not, but I just knew I was gonna go. Then, so let's say in 2006, 2007, our unit asked, who wants to go overseas? And I put my hand up. I was like, yeah, let's go. And went to one of the guys. He's like, come on, it'll be fun. We'll have a blast. He's like, all right, so I ended up coming too. So we went to 2007. We went to Petawawa, Ontario. Big base. Basically, we live like the regular force essentially. We started with the MP unit, and the MPs were the Reg Force MPs. Were kind of looking at as our reserve MPs, like kind of snobbish at first, I should say. Fine, whatever. Ego, I guess, right? They do full time. stuff, which is what the reserves are known for. We do a lot more field stuff than base stuff. And then all of a sudden, the playing field was a little even now, right? So this is all we do is field stuff, right? So some people didn't know how to work some machine guns and things like that, because they're used to patrolling the base like police officers. Okay? So from there, we amalgamated with the RCR, so the infantry, and our job was the POMLIT, essentially. So the Police Operation Mentor Liaison Team was I guess the unit's name, because the name and working with the infantry and police are known as pigs. They started calling us the piglets, right? So going with that, rather than running from him, we just, the higher, I guess the bosses, the officers picked a really cool name. So the Razorbacks, right? Aggressive pig, I guess. So we're known as the Razorbacks while in Afghanistan. And then from there, we went to Texas, learned for about 4 or 5 weeks. Lived in the desert, all that stuff, training. Great time, right? Did a lot of scenario stuff. While in Texas, they use civilian actors, right? And a lot of them are Mexicans or Hispanics. Because me being Hispanic, there was one scenario where they basically said, "Okay, your interpreter's dead. What do you do? How do you, communicate with the villagers?" Right? And they pointed at me, and I started speaking Spanish. And then from there, the nickname, Dirty Mexican, right, came out, right? So, all in good fun, obviously. And then 2008 September, got deployed to Afghanistan. So we did about a year workup training. A year is way too long. It wasn't necessary. 6 months, I'd say, would be a solid time, because a lot of times we're just sitting around doing nothing. We called it locker security, because we're sitting down and waiting. Like you show up to 7 o'clock, do PT, physical training, you do your runs or weight training, whatever it is. Come back, you get dismissed for, say, 8, 9 o'clock, tell you to come back for around 9 o'clock-ish, and then you have breakfast, you come back, and then you sit around these lockers just waiting for further information. So you sit and wait, and then they tell you, okay, come back. It's still around 12 o'clock, go for lunch, come back, 1 o'clock, come back at 3, come back at 3, okay, you're dismissed. There's a lot of that, so I'm kind of glad I was doing this part-time, because here I am doing my workup training, getting ready to go overseas for combat, and I'm sitting around waiting for something to do. And then, some officers would, find make-work projects. Okay, clean this and clean it again. I know you cleaned it yesterday, but clean it again. It's like, there's nothing for us to do. How about, either someone figure something out or let us dismiss us for the rest of the day or something, right? But anyways, it's my little rant. Later on, we'd go, so after deployment, funny story, before we got, the day of, we're heading out, all your equipment, all that stuff, you kind of send it off to the trucks, and they kind of make their way to the plane and all that stuff. I had locked my room door, thinking, okay, that's it. I get to our rendezvous point, and everyone has their itinerary. And I'm like, look at my pockets. I can't find it. I left it in the room that's locked. And there's no one that early in the morning to wake up and say, can you unlock the door? So I'm in a bit of a panic, right? I need that. So I make a few phone calls, and oddly enough, or whoever was looking over me, the person ended up picking up. He's like, usually I don't come in until 12 o'clock, and we're leaving at like 8. I think it was 8, and but he was coming in for whatever reason, and grab the paperwork, the itinerary, the paperwork, all that stuff, and made my way out. Stupid idea. Finally, fly out. We go to Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, one or the other, East Coast, and then we make our way to Ireland. We stop over in Ireland, and we're there for about a couple hours, I believe. From there, we fuel up, and then we fly over to Dubai. So based in Dubai, land there. I couldn't believe how hot Dubai was in September. We're leaving the plane, and you feel, I'm leaving through the rear, so obviously the engine's still on, so you feel this humidity. It's like, Jesus. I'm like, okay, so as I'm walking, I'm feeling okay, it's just from the exhaust, whatever. As I'm walking, I'm still walking, still feeling this heat. And I look back, it's just like the plane's back there. It's like, why is this so hot? I couldn't believe it. It was really hot. From there, we're there for about a couple days. From there, you fly to Afghanistan. You get in those military planes, C-130, I believe it was. One of the best flight experiences I ever had. So you take off, and then right before you land to Afghanistan, they have to do maneuvers, right, to avoid getting rocketed out of the sky. So the plane is just, it's like a roller coaster. You're doing all this and up and down, and some people are not liking it. I'm loving it. I'm having a blast doing it. So I was like, let's go again, kind of thing. You finally land, and then okay, right? It's like, we're here. Let's go, right? Now the plan was for us to go there and wait. I think it's about a week or two to get used to the climate, and we're at a different elevation, so things like that. And we were told in a couple of days we're heading outside the wire. So it's like anxiety. It's like, what did I just put myself into? So on base, it's CAF, Canberra Airfield is the base, and there's dozens of other nations there in this base. Now this base gets rocketed often. I'm guessing maybe once every other week, give or take. We hardly lived on base. We lived outside the wire, so I couldn't really say for sure. There's a Burger King's, Tim Hortons, things like that there. So basically you can go shop and grab stuff. There's a Canada House, so people who are feeling, homesick, they can go and they chill there, and they can call their family members, friends, things like that. There's letters, and people support the troops, posters, things like that. From there, so we're just kind of getting used to the climate, all that stuff, and then we're told, okay, we're gonna head out. So 5 minutes before deploying, or before heading off, I went to the bathroom. I don't know, I lost count after 10. I was just, the nerves in me was just like, what is going on? Just like, what did I just sign up for? And we finally went out. My head was on a swivel, like anything. You just, hopefully you're relying on your training. It's just like, hopefully, you're doing right. And we made it to our police station. The new district center was our police station in DC. So we're driving on ID Alley there, and just like, is this it, right, kind of thing. And we finally get there, and heads on a swivel, looking, and I'm like, okay, finally make our way inside the police station, and we get introduced to the Canadians are already there. We're there to relieve. So they're super excited. They looked a little exhausted, drained, and it's like, okay, what the hell happened, kind of thing, right? What's been going on, things like that. Now we're also living with the Afghan police, so it's the Afghan police station. We're living with them, and our job is to mentor them, get them up to standard, so that we're kind of like, okay, we can't be here forever. We're part of the exit strategy, essentially, right? So there's an interpreter there with us, obviously. There's also a person following us around with a chair, smoking a cigarette. And, so charge, or there was I think it was a warrant officer. I can't remember his rank. He was kind of pointing out, guiding us. This village is this, and here's where we kind of practice our shooting behind the mountain, or beside the mountain, and all that stuff. He was kind of guiding us. This village over there, there's this, and things like that. While we're there, this guy was following us around, another Afghan police, we're assuming, and he told us that, like, who's this guy? And he's like, oh, the Afghan police said he wants to be a police officer, so he's kind of hanging out. He's like, I hang around, like a biker gang kind of thing. He's just hanging out in hopes that one day he'll be a police officer. That's what the Afghan police are saying. What the warrant officer was saying is they kidnapped him from Kandahar City, and he's their chai boy. So a chai boy, basically they use him to essentially do whatever they want him to do. That's also sexual favors. So we're like, this kid, couldn't be more than 15, and there's a big age discrepancy because it's such a hard environment. So some people look much older than they are. So I don't know if he was actually 15, 12, or 18. I don't know, but he looked young. But he was following us around, and he's like pointing at some of us, and he's kind of like pointing. He's like pointing. He's like looking at the lips and stuff like that, like that one. And there's this guy talking about, right? So we're like, okay, so now we're aware, because we always hear these rumors about, they call it the military, they call it Man Love Thursdays, because in Islam Friday's their holy day. So Thursday, I guess they get stuff out of their system, and I guess Friday they repent or whatever the case is. But there's a lot of homosexual activity Thursdays, and also leading up to Thursdays. When asked prior to going for deployment, that Afghans come by and talk to us, and they said, ask us any questions, no questions too taboo. One person brought it up. They said homosexuality is forbidden in Afghanistan. It doesn't happen. The guys who've already deployed there is like, it happens often. Like, okay. Now seeing it, my own eyes, it does happen often. I personally don't care. It's like everyone does it, but no one talks about it. I don't know the logic behind it, why it's like everyone does it, why are they just okay with it? I don't know. But here we are. So they carried on with kind of figuring out where's what, and then the transition period of basically, okay, we're gonna start taking over. We do ride-alongs with them, and then slowly we kind of like, okay, we're getting less and less of you guys now. You guys chill. You guys are gonna go home. We want to make sure you guys don't get killed, obviously, right? So we're on this. I think it's about a week and a half. They finally left, right? So it's just us. We're like, okay, that's it. It's on us now. So we're doing patrols and things like that. So every morning, our job was to check the road for IEDs. Now on base, they had these X-ray machine vehicles. So it's one person driving it, and the front of the driver, so let's say just beyond the hood of the car, there's this X-ray device, and then the driver can see, obviously, the ground if there's any IEDs in there. Along the road, there's culverts. A culvert is basically a sewage system that water can go below the road as opposed to over it, causing accidents, right? So every, say maybe 100, 200 meters, there's a culvert, right? I'd say about 80 to 90% of these culverts were destroyed. And obviously they rebuilt them, but you can tell, like, IEDs were just going off, like, okay, so the Afghan police's job was to basically, as we go and patrol and check these culverts, make sure, they're secured and things like that. These devices that were on base, they had two of them, we could have used them to check the roads, make sure they were safe. But for whatever reason, they didn't give it to us. So every morning, we were checking ID alley, literally with our own eyes. Now we'd use the Afghan police, we'd assist, because it's Afghan place, Afghan face, and we're trying to help them out. It's like, hey, be cautious and things like that. But no, they were extremely courageous. A lot of the times, like, you know, if we get into a firefight, which is hardly ever, we were more dealing with IEDs was our biggest thing. But the biggest thing was, you know, we tell them, like, focus on it, but they kind of left everything with God or Allah, right? It's like it's Allah's will, essentially, right? Which is fine. That's their belief system, right? But we kind of just, you know, tell them, like, you know, okay, you know, we respect that, but keep in mind, it's like, you know what, at least be smart about it, right? You know, look at the floor, make sure it hasn't been disturbed, things like that, right? We found a few IEDs. Some IEDs found us. The road we searched was about 10-15 kilometer stretch. Along the way, there's other police stations that we'd also be responsible for. So our area of responsibility, or AOR, was about 10 to 15 kilometers stretch, right? So 10 by 15, right? And along the way, we'd, talk to other Afghan police and say, okay, what are you guys doing? You know, we'd help them with patrols and things like that. You know, find out, like, there's new police officers, like, who's this guy? I'm like, oh, he's so-and-so from village or whatever. And there's no background check there like they do here in Canada, right? It's just like, you know, this person have a criminal record and this person known to whatever. It's like certain people are vouching for, and it's like no one knows who this person is. They just showed up, right? So it's like, okay, who's this person? Is this person Taliban, right? So some of these guys didn't have uniforms. So this person with a gun, it's like, is he Taliban? Is he one of you guys? Like, you know, so it's just like, what's going on here? There's a lot of corruption within the Afghan police too, right? A lot of good guys as well. My counterpart, so my job was a C9 gunner, and C9 gunner is like a light machine gun. And my counterpart was called an Afghan Rambo. And it was a big compliment for them. They loved it, right? My guy was, ammo belts around his body, and just like, ready to go. Good guy, really hard worker. Always ready to go. Always had his vest on. Always ready to go on patrol, no matter when. I don't think I ever saw him without his vest. We'd go on patrols, foot patrols. I prefer foot patrols over vehicles, because with the vehicle, you're limited to where you can go. When you're on foot patrol, you can pretty much go anywhere. Turn right here, turn left there, wherever. And if the enemy doesn't know, if you don't know where you're going, the enemy doesn't know where you're going, right? So, and they wouldn't want to waste an ID on you, right? Let's just say they wouldn't want to waste an ID sitting there waiting. Hopefully, one day you're gonna hit it, right? It's a waste of their resource, right? So it's like, if they see a pattern, they're always constantly observing. And our interpreter, they had scanners and listening to their conversations, things like that. And literally the second we leave the police station, you can hear the scanner. Yep, they just left. There's always eyes on us, right? Things like that. It was pretty interesting. Well, part one, I'm going to talk about more. I'll try maybe see you later on tonight on the way home from work, and we'll go from there. But continue watching, and we'll keep going. We'll see how it goes. All right, so talk to you guys later.